When you visit a post on a WordPress-powered site, chances are you can scroll to the bottom and find the comments section. And this comments section is what has made WordPress and software like WordPress so popular and prevalent on the web. The comments section turns your one-way communication of ideas into a true idea exchange, a conversation where you can talk to the people who visit your site and they can respond to you, and you can have a conversation between them, or they can have a conversation with other visitors. Comments are a great way of generating interest to your site, and they can spark some very interesting conversations, but they also have their problems. Just like with email, the comment section on WordPress sites has become a great place for spammers to place tons of links to other content and generate interest to sites you may not want to interact with at all. So if you allow comments on your site, you have to make sure you get the settings right so people can't abuse your site and use it for their own personal gain. The comment settings for your site are found under the admin panel, under settings, and discussion. And here you have lots of different settings you can use to control who gets to comment and how comments are displayed. Let me just take you through the basic setup, and then later on you can experiment on your own and figure out what works best for you. Under default article settings, I recommend leaving attempt to notify any blogs linked to from this article off. This is because otherwise people can use an exploit to use your site to ping other sites, and it can become a real problem. I also recommend turning allow link notifications from other blogs off, because if a lot of people link to your site, then your comment section will become littered with these links. You can turn these settings on and off for each individual post if you want to. You should leave the last option on if you want people to comment, because this is the one that allows people to post comments on new articles. If you turn it off, then no one can comment on your content. Under other comment settings, I recommend leaving the first option on. This means the comment author has to fill in the name and email to be able to comment. You may also want to force the user to register and be logged in to comment. This is what we talked about previously with user access. By doing this, you are creating a user profile for each commenter, and you can check out who they are when they comment. Usually I leave this on, but that depends on what type of site you're running. In some cases, you may want to limit for how long people are able to post comments on an article. If that's the case, you want to activate this automatically close comments on articles older than function and then set the number of days. Now, 14 days is pretty short unless you have a very active blog, but you may want to set it to something like 365 days so you don't get comments on ancient articles that no one is reading anymore. Next, you can enable threaded or nested comments. This allows you to create a thread where you can see a comment and then you see the response to that comment appear underneath it. I usually leave this feature on, and I leave it at the default 5 because more than 5 levels deep generally gets really confusing. You can also choose to break your comments into pages with a number of top-level comments per page. This becomes important if you have a lot of comments on your site. So if you have a site that has hundreds of comments on one post, you may want to limit it so it doesn't take forever to load a single page. Next, you get to the email section. Here you can get WordPress to email you anytime anyone posts a comment, and also anytime a comment is held for moderation. If you don't activate Akismet, and you leave a comment is held for moderation on, you are going to get hundreds of emails. So I recommend, first of all, to enable Akismet so you don't get all the spam. And second of all, to probably turn this off because it can get very annoying. So if you're getting a lot of email from your site about comments, chances are you need to change these two settings or change the security of your comment section. The next section has to do with when a comment is displayed. If you check the first option here, comment must be manually approved. You actively have to approve every comment. This is great if you want to really control what's going on your site, but chances are if you get a lot of comments, this is going to become a lot of work, so you may want to turn it off. The next option, comment author must have previously approved comment, allows you to kind of screen people the first time they comment. And this is usually left on. Now here's an important thing. When you activate your site, if you leave this option on, you'll notice that you'll get a lot of comments that seem extremely vague. They'll say something like, I found this article on the web and I thought the topic was interesting, great work. Or they'll say, I visited this article using my mobile device and it spanned across the screen, so I had to scroll a lot. There might be something wrong. This is a phishing email that's trying to get you to approve it so that they can start spamming your blog. So anytime you see an extremely vague comment, make sure to not approve it, because otherwise your blog will get attacked with lots of spam. So I would leave this option on and screen the people who comment very carefully. To avoid getting a lot of garbage comments on your site, I recommend using this comment moderation and comment blacklist feature quite a lot. Here you can hold a comment in the queue if it contains more than a certain number of links. I recommend setting it to either 1 or 2 because generally spam comments will have lots of links in them. So this is a great way of filtering them right off the bat. You can also use this moderation field here to enter in words you don't want to appear in your comments. So here you can enter in common words like printer ink that tend to show up in your comments. And when you start seeing a lot of comments that have these keywords in them, you can put them in the moderation queue or in the comment blacklist, and they will never appear in the site. You can also add IP addresses, specific URLs, or specific email addresses in here, one per line, and those will automatically get filtered. My blog has been active for several years, and my comment moderation list and blacklist has hundreds of words and IP addresses because over time I've realized there are a lot of people who only use my blog to spread information I don't want them to share. The final section has to do with how comments are displayed. By default, whenever someone leaves a comment, an avatar is shown next to their comment. If they have an email address associated with a gravatar and they use that email address when they comment, their gravatar will appear. If they don't have that, you'll see one of these default avatars instead. And here you can choose either the mystery man or blank or a gravatar logo or one of these other logos. You can also choose what type of rating you want these gravatars to have because as you saw with gravatars, in some cases people can have explicit gravatars. So here you can choose whether or not you want to display those. I generally leave this on G because I have yet to find anyone who has a gravatar that's over G, but I know it's possible, so I want to restrict it. Once you've made all your settings, click Save Changes. Now you can take your site live and then moderate what happens to your comments. And if you start seeing strange things happen, go back here and change your settings to control who gets to comment and how those comments are moderated.